service the game. Be interested in the world around you. As much as it's about sharing your perspective and sharing your unique view, I think it's very important to know that you are a part of a much bigger ecosystem that has been here before you and will be here long, long, long after you're gone, you know? So service the game. Just be cool. Show up. Put your hand up.
I love that.
Don't just ask for help. Ask where you can help. You know, put in the work for the game and charge it to the game.
Welcome to the Culture's Biggest Podcast.
A podcast about creatives in and around Johannesburg, as well as those who relocate to the big city in hopes of leaving their mark within the industry. Our aim is to bridge the gap between established creatives and aspiring creatives by providing insight into the challenges faced by creatives along their journey. The podcast delves deep into the creative pursuit and offers aspiring creatives guidance on how they could turn their passions into sustainable businesses. My name is Julian Vogue, and this is
Culture's Biggest.
And we live, man. Welcome back to yet a phenomenal episode of Culture's Biggest. If it is your first time tuning in, my name is Jules, the Culture's Biggest nerd. Here at Culture's Biggest, we highlight some of the biggest names in culture. And today is no exception. We got, hey, man, I'm even too excited to even say it, man. We got one of the biggest. She even said it on a Slicker interview. She's too much for the culture. She's important. She's the blueprint. You know, she's a person I grew up, you know, idolizing and looking up to in terms of this presenting thing. She's a mega brand in South African culture. We are speaking to the one and only Nomuzi Mabena. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for making the time.
Thanks for having me.
It really, really means a lot. You know,
Good.
you're literally culture's biggest, man.
Right? There's alignment there.
You know what I mean? So I'm interested in people's journeys. Like what makes you pursue a certain field, you know? So obviously I know you were the winner of the VJ Search in 2012, if I'm not mistaken, right? How was life like before that?
Life before the VJ Search? Okay, so I won VJ Search in October 2012. And I think the whole year before that, I was just trying to get a job on TV. Like I was just going to any and every audition possible. Like I was on a mission, even if I didn't speak the language. I was like literally trying to audition, trying to make sure that I just could get my foot into the door. And before that, I was just in Benoni with my friends, you know, it was high school. I started working on MTV quite young. I was 19 years old.
What were you doing at 19 there?
I was at school. I was at Varsity College studying communication sciences. I just finished matric. So I was really young, just trying to figure out what do I want to do in the world.
That's beautiful. So you said you were 19, working at MTV.
Yeah.
Were your parents like open to you being like a creative person or pursuing something? You know, black families, because the struggle back home doesn't align with you being a creative.
No, my parents were always really chilled, even from school. I did a lot of like drama. I stayed fit and stuff like that. So my parents were always quite open to it. I also got into modeling quite young when I was like maybe 14 or 15, I started doing modeling. And my parents would have to drive me there. My dad paid like 400 Rand a month, which was like back then a lot of money. Okay, not like that back then, relax.
You're not that old.
But like, you know, it was a lot of money for my parents to be spending on just like an extra mural. So they were always really, really supportive of my sister as well. I always say my sister was like my first road manager because she used to like drive me around everywhere. So my family was always very supportive.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Then how was the reaction when you were like, after the VJ Search, you left the college, right? How was the reaction after that?
To be honest, I overhyped that thing in my mind so much. I think he doesn't even know this, but I probably lied to him for a few months saying I was still going and I wasn't going, you know? And as soon as I told him, he was like, dude, it is really okay. I think your parents generally will support what it is that you want to do if you do have action. Like I had a big job on a very big station. He could see like, you know what?
There's movement.
Yeah, you're okay. Like it's really good. So I was able to just have that conversation with him. I remember crying. I was crying before I even got the words out. I don't know why I was so dramatic. But he was so understanding, you know. And my mom has always just been like, oh, nah. Whatever you want to do, you know. So they were quite supportive.
It's so beautiful because you took that decision and look what you've become, you know. I'm sure even your parents like, I get it now,
I pray they do. I definitely pray they do. You have to be able to take risks in your life, and I'm glad that was one that paid off for me.
Beautiful. What pushed you to enter the VJ Search?
I think by the time I entered VJ Search, when I stood in that line, I already knew I was going to win. I don't know what it was.
For real?
I haven't felt that secure about a lot of things in my life, but when I stood in that line, I knew. And it was after a lot of things. After going through so many different audition processes, you kind of start to pick things up and you just realize, like, I got it. I know what they're going to need, So that's what happened. And remember, I was actually in the line with Caddy, who's on YFM right now.
Fresh by Caddy.
Yes. And there were just so many of us who were in that space. Like, we were literally just trying, all of us, like just trying to get into the game.
Yeah.
But at that point, I just knew I was going to win. I don't know what it was, but I was just like,
self-belief.
This is my job.
Self-belief. That's beautiful. I had a conversation with this other guy, and we were speaking about self-belief, As a creative, that's like one of the most important things. Because you'd find someone who's like less talented than you, but has self-belief.
Yeah.
And that sort of like makes them succeed even more,
Yeah. I think beyond just the belief in yourself, I think we're all good with self-belief. We're all...
I don't think so.
No, self-belief we have. It's the conviction to do something about it that a lot of people don't have.
Yeah.
I think they're just so stuck in their self-belief. They're just like, somebody's going to find me.
Yeah.
Like, somebody is going to come and find me.
God, you need to also do the work.
Like, you actually have to put one foot in front of the other to make it happen. So I think that's the part a lot of people are missing.
Beautiful. So you're saying with the VJ Search, with your Fresh by Caddy, you guys have always wanted to get into the game.
Yeah.
When was the moment where you were like, you see, Manje, I'm inside? When did you, after winning the VJ Search, of course?
On the day.
For real?
Like, on the day that you win the VJ Search, your life instantly changes. MTV is huge. It's like they sent out it's like international. They sent out a press release. They had literally every media house in the country there.
Yeah.
I mean, Double HP was a judge on that show. Azania was a judge on that show. Bonang was a judge on that show, Nomza Mombata and Lady Ju, who's on BT, they were in the top 3 with me. So it was it was like the Olympics of presenter searches back then, and it wasn't just for a South African job. It was to represent MTV South in the continent and then around the world. So it was an absolutely huge deal. I remember at the time, I was still smoking cigarettes, but like back then you couldn't just like smoke and be a famous person that represents a company and just be like living your wildest life. It literally was like being a prefect at school.
Yeah.
So at some point after like 3 hours of like, you just got the job, do this, go there, interview with this person. They're like, okay, you can like have 5 minutes to go to the car, to just go have a smoke. So I remember just sitting in my car and just having a smoke.
Yeah.
And then I put on the radio and like I was obsessed with Kulichana at the time. And Kulichana No More Hunger comes on. And I'm just like, I'm in. I'm in. There's absolutely no turning back. So it was like instant for me, yeah.
Damn. Right now when you just painted the whole thing of Abubonang, Nomzamo being there, all these big names in, the presenting space, what are your thoughts on the current state where a person is not chosen because they're really good at what they do? They're chosen because they probably have numbers on social media. It also comes back to that conversation of open up the industry and all of that. So what are your thoughts on like the influencers becoming the modern day presenters?
You know what? I don't watch a lot of TV like that. So I'm not like personally... as a viewer, first of all, like that affected or offended by anything. But I have been on a media run now, just doing PR for my new song. And when I encounter different broadcasters, the best ones are just the ones who are broadcasters. Like DJ Sabi, Zanele Potelwa, like there's a guy named Josi on Espresso. Like the best broadcasters are people who are just broadcasters, you know? The other people are cool and they come with a really cool vibe and an interesting vibe, and they can do something different on social that, you know, some people may not be able to do. But I think when it comes to broadcasting, there's just a skill that is absolutely undeniable, you know? And people who are so good at that thing just make it seem like magic. So they don't, it's not like when you're a soccer player when you can see the shibobo that you just did, you know. It almost seems magical. But I actually think there's a lot of great people. When I think about like Gutle Adams, there's another young girl, her name is Ayanda Jitabete. I think she's also like on the Espresso shows. And I also like how the platforms are also like turning into shows, you know? Like this here, I saw the girl from Yomzansi in New York at the Puma thing. So I like how...
There's no gatekeeping.
There's no gatekeeping. I definitely think we do need to respect the skill. There are sometimes people that I watch, I'm like, you didn't even say the name of the song right. You didn't like announce that right. Like you're just moving a bit too fast. You're not like respecting the nuance
craft,
of like what it is that you're saying. But I think that there's still hope. I think there's still hope. I think the issue, especially with like TV, maybe radio is actually, they're not doing too badly at all, actually. I think radio is okay. But with TV, like the shows kind of suck.
Yeah, they suck. Like I think of your era, with presenting, your era, Scoop's era. When it comes to presenting, like I used to live for V Entertainment. You know Not because V Entertainment is these celebrities, but because of
the presenters.
Yeah, for real. Like for real.
Shut up.
You were around that era where Shane was also like a presenter. You know? That kind of thing died. It's not there.
You had to have a personality back then, you know? And you had to have a really unique style and also a voice and an opinion. I think like now it's just a bit too much opinion and not enough like unique style. Or you have a unique style, but it's just like, it's a bit shallow. Like you're not really getting into it. I think what separated us back then is we were really interested in the culture. And we wanted to tell stories about the culture, not what the culture could do for us, but just the culture as it was happening. But now it's like there's a gold rush right now. Everybody's just like, all I need to do is go viral. All I need is one piano song. All I need is one mic, you know? Everyone's like a gold rush right now. So people are just, it's more about what's in it for me. What can I get out of it? As opposed to just like, yo, I want to go see. Like, I'm just going to Zone 6 to go and see what happened. You know, I want to just see, AKA. I want to just see Casper Nyovest. I want to just see Ricky Rick. I just want to see and be around. Like, I'm not going to get... Actually, I'm getting so much out of it. We didn't even realize at the time how much we were getting out of it, but it was just way more about, like, just the culture.
The culture. That's so beautiful. Obviously, you're a multifaceted creative. What then propels you to music? Around that era where, okay, I've made it as a presenter now, you know, one of the biggest platforms in Africa, in the world actually. You know? So what then makes Moozlie be like, let me start rapping?
For me, quite honestly, I was just covering so much South African hip hop. Like I was a field presenter at some point, just like on the ground covering things. And I just realized like, there's no girls. And even the girls who are here, they're just like all talking about like nigga shit. Like all I want was a piece of mind to speak my mind straight to my mind. Yeah, like that's dope for the niggas, but like there's no like female perspective, you know? There definitely were a few girls in the game, but I don't think there was anybody who really represented for Ekasi and for just like the quintessential South African girl. So I definitely wanted to do that. And another thing, to be honest, is when I was working at MTV, I was like the lead presenter at the time because Sizwe was kind of like the OG and he was like handpicking shows that he wanted to do. But I was like, I'll do it. So the channel really like relied on me to do a lot of stuff. And I would get to shows and get to things, and all of my friends would be there because I was friends with all the artists. They'd be there for like a good 2 hours. We'd do the performances and then they'd leave. And then I'd have to stay and have to do all the links and talk to the people and find out how was the show. And by the time I'm catching up with them, like 4 hours later, like one has already gone to a gig in Mpumalanga, the other one is already gone home, the other one is just like, you've just missed so much, you know? And I was just like, nah.
You want to try something else?
Yeah, I need to do something else. Also, just from a brand perspective, I realized that it was important for me to just do something that would separate me a little bit from just being the MTV girl, because the channel was getting a lot of brand buy-in and a lot of media things where I would be maybe talking to, for example, Red Bull to do a personal deal for Moozlie, but then the next day I would have to go and do the MTV Monster music
so it doesn't
mashup.
align.
You know what I mean? And then the people at Red Bull are like, bro, we're just talking to you. And I'm like, no, but it's just my job, you know?
Right.
So I knew that to get a little bit more real estate in the game for myself, I really needed to just like establish myself. And with being a rapper, you could just like say fuck you to people without, you know,
And
without
people
them
get
being
it
as
still,
offended as they would usually be. So yeah, that's kind of where my mind was at when I did it.
That's beautiful. Then how do you find the balance? Because it's tough to wear this hat today, then wear this hat tomorrow. How do you make those worlds like come together and present Nomuzi Mabena as one?
I think we're only just starting to figure that out, myself and my team.
Yeah.
There was a time where it just felt like, okay, now it's like we're in music mode, we're just doing music. Now we're in hosting mode, we're just hosting. Now we're in creative direction mode, we're just focused on that. But we realized that like there's just too much shit going on all at the same time, you know? You really have to find a way to be able to weave those things. And there's so many people in the world who do it so well. I think Tianda Taylor right now is such an amazing example of just being a creative. When I think about like J-Lo, you don't think J-Lo's a singer. You don't think J-Lo's a movie star.
She's
you
a
just
brand.
think like she's just J-Lo, you know? So that's kind of what we want to do. That's what we want to achieve. But we just take it one day at a time. Also, we're very big on scheduling. It's like we have a strict schedule. My assistant is like, if you don't want me to come, rather just say so. But if you're not going to talk to Musa, I'm not going to make it. It's not that I don't see you or love you or whatever. Actually, I respect you so much that I want you to like go through the right channel so that when I do show up, I show up in the right way. So
Beautiful.
Just scheduling is like a big thing, but also just taking it one day at a time.
Beautiful. I like that. You speak so well about brands, right? Obviously, a lot of creatives that are coming up, you're trying to find a way to work with brands. You said you worked out a personal brand deal with Red Bull. Like, how did you do that, you know? Because most of the time, for me personally, if I think of working with a brand, I'd probably send like cold emails. But like, I don't know how you would do it. Maybe the PA, how does it go with you?
How do we do it? It's really a little bit of both.
Yeah.
It's just about putting presentations together and just hoping that somebody will buy in.
Yeah.
But it's also about finding something that's mutually beneficial. I think a lot of people are just like, they want to work with brands for the association, but they don't realize that you need to do something for the brand as well. Like, what are you giving us?
What are you bringing to the table?
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And with us, we kind of try to structure our deals, and I have done this for a very, very long time, where it's not so much about like the big monetary value up front, but it's about like finding a way that we can rather partner instead of like there being an endorsement. Because the truth is, most brands are just not paying for the endorsements. Most brands, actually all brands, are not paying for usage. All brands are like, it's just not happening like that, guys. We wanted to in an ideal world. I think there are people who really are like living their best lives with brand deals. Like, you know, I can't even think of one. You know, I think there are some people who have like really amazing deals, but like the truth is it just doesn't work like that. So it's about like finding a way to look at your business as an influencer, as an artist, as a content creator, and be like, okay, I need to put out an album. I need to create this content. I need to do this. What monetary needs do I have and what just support do I need? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And how do you make that make sense for the brand? For example, I need a car. Let me get a car deal. But like, what is it out of, what does the car brand get out of that, you know, from a content perspective? And it's not just about like, give me a car and I'll shoot you a video, but let me get into your ecosystem. Let me host your first live show. Let's like work together to like do things. Let me pop up at the car shows. Like, you know, let's do different things. Instead of saying to Castle Light the 1 year, okay, the brand deal is worth 400,000 Rand, give that to me cash. We actually decided, let's go and buy some equipment, let's build a studio so that you guys are constantly in my every single day life. So it's just easy to talk about you. It's not like hard sell to my followers and fans, but it's really about it being like symbiotic. It's not just like a take, you know, it really has to be symbiotic.
Beautiful. Speaking about brands, you have one of the most controversial ad campaigns that I've seen. Like that car crash.
Oh, yeah.
That VW, like, you know, when it happened, when I saw that live, I thought it was real.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, what's happening? Like something like that happened. You're driving, next thing you know, the car's upside down. What was going on? Like, can you explain that campaign for me? Yeah.
Okay, so I did a campaign with VW. And basically we wanted to highlight just the risks around irresponsible driving, whether it's drinking or driving, texting and driving, but just all the different risks that we all do and experience or watch people do every single day, but we don't take lights off. So a lot of people always just speak about that main video, that crash moment. But what they don't realize is that we rolled that out over 2 months. We pre-shot, like I was literally a crazy person. Like we'd pre-shoot content and I had to remember that on this day we're posting this. So I had to wear that outfit in real life so that people who saw me
would think it happened
on that day. So we would literally post clear examples of me just driving badly, being at a party, posting the shots, posting the drinks moment, and then getting in the car and driving, you know? Taking videos while driving, being on a live while driving. And I think over a 2-month period, maybe there were only 4 people who said, be safe. That doesn't look too safe. Are you sure you're being safe? Maybe be careful of that. There were hundreds and thousands, if not millions of people who looked at my content over that 2-month period and nobody said anything up until the time that I crashed. And when I crashed, it then sparked that conversation of, oh, but she was with her boyfriend. They were drinking wine, you know, and then it kind of sparked that conversation and people started talking about it. Then we did the big reveal that actually this was just a campaign to basically... The backlash was really, really wild. You know, the backlash was wild. And I do think in retrospect, even at the time, I do feel like the agency just held a little bit too long. They just let the fire brew a little bit longer than we had agreed to. But when you see the conversations like sparking like that, I get that you kind of just want to let it go a bit more, you know?
For me personally, I think that was genius.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really, really crazy, insightful campaign. And since that campaign, we've really seen the numbers decrease. I'm not saying like I'm the poster child of like drinking and driving or anything, but we definitely live in a time where young people are just way more aware, they're way more responsible. And it's not even that they're like not drinking and driving. Most of them are not even drinking. You know, which is actually really, really cool. But people are just way more responsible. They're way more alert. Even over the Easter period, there were no deaths on the road, which is like a first in the longest time ever. So it definitely was a polarizing campaign. It's something that I still stand on and believe in to this day. But it was really, really crazy.
It was the first of its kind, and I'm sure it achieved the numbers. More than anything, because obviously at the end of the day,
100%. Like
it's business,
the impressions are going crazy, you know, and it went worldwide. I was doing interviews on like BBC, like people around the world. It became like a proper case study. Like even, it was also the first time that I think the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa realized that they had to find a way to regulate social media as well, because so many people complained to them on that level. So there were so many different levels that we had to try to deal with it. But I think it's such an important message.
Beautiful. With 10 years plus in the game, right? What has been the most challenging moment of your career?
Like one moment?
The most challenging, where you were like, you see right now, dang.
I don't know. I feel like that happens maybe every other day. Life gets real. Life really gets real, you know, and maybe we don't talk about the bad sides too much because we are also just trying to get through it, trying to make it to another day. But as an independent rapper who's a super creative person, that's a Black woman living in Cyril Ramaphosa's economy. Like, there's a lot of things that I just deal with on a day-to-day that are really difficult to deal with, you know, but you just keep it pushing. Different things are hard for different reasons, but one moment where I definitely felt like, oh, what are we doing here? Or like, what are we doing here? What's the point? Definitely when Ricky passed, that was really hard for me. Because I was just like, okay, if Ricky is feeling like that.
And he's doing it at the highest level.
Who are we? Like, who are we? What are we doing? You know? So I remember that was really, really hard. When Keenan died as well, that was like really,
and you were
really
really
hard.
close with both of them. No?
Yeah, that was really hard. Like that, I think that was just like a famous side moment. We're actually real people living in this world, and it was like really, really hard. I think also when Costa died, just like seeing so many kids like so upset and so sad, that was like, okay, well, what are we doing here? Like,
how do you then balance being a celebrity and a human being? Or is it one for you? Because you get people where it's like two different personalities, you know?
Yeah. I think it's a bit of both. It is like you're just a human and people want to see that and share that. And I think we're also in the social media age where people are like want to see you in your bonnet. They just want to get the real you, you know? So you do kind of have that freedom a bit, but there's also a level of like, you just want to keep things to yourself. Some days you don't feel like that girl.
You just want to chill.
Like I'm actually way more chill than you would think. Like if you see my social media, I'm just giving like, ooh. But sometimes I'm just trying to be by myself and be quiet. I'll get into it after a while, you know. But for me, I just always try to do something that I'm going to be okay with at the end of the day. You know, try to behave in a way that if you had to shake me in the middle of the night, I'd still be that person. Because then you don't get tired. It's not an act. It's not a pretense.
It's who you are.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely turn it on.
Of course.
You know, we definitely put that shit on.
I mean, you wouldn't have like one of the biggest brands in South Africa if that wasn't the case.
Exactly, yeah. But you got to keep it real. And for me, like, genuinely speaking, I deal with everything like on a Bible term. You know, it's biblical. Like the Bible is law. Just be good to people. Just be a good person. Just be a decent person, you know. Beautiful. Like if you're good in any way, in any space, whether you're at a shoot, whether you're with your family, whether you're by yourself, whether you're in front of thousands of people, if you just like have that true north, you'll always be good. Beautiful.
You obviously have one of the biggest brands in South African culture. Anyone who disagrees, come on, bro. You know. So I just want to find out, what are some tips that you have for like upcoming presenters, TV personalities, to first and foremost to actually build a mega brand and to sustain it? Because
do you think I have a mega brand? Like it's a mega church?
I mean,
I'm like a controversial pastor with a mega brand.
not like that, but like I do think when you look at brands in South Africa, you have a very strong brand, you know. Like I was saying to you earlier on, even with the bold cut, that's like a signature, you know. It's hard for you to say Nomuzi Mabena and someone's like, oh, who's that? You know, so how do you build your brand to that point and how do you sustain it? Because sometimes building it can be easy, but sustaining it is like 10 years plus with you, you know? Yeah.
That's a very good question, and thank you. I think what I would say First of all, let's just think about the concept of building.
Yeah.
It's messy. Like if you go to a construction site and see a builder building, it's a messy. There's blancas, there's cement, you wearing some nasty boots, you have a hard hat. It's just not the dream house that you have in your mind because you are building. I think you need to just have that in mind when you go into the game, that you are building. You're not in your mega mansion just yet, but you're building, and be okay with that building process. Put on the boots, put on the hard hat. Get dirty, like put in the work. It's really going to pay off for you at the end, you know? And another thing is just like service the game. I think if you service the game, you will pick up specifically with like presenting and content creation and stuff like that, like be interested in the world around you. As much as it's about sharing your perspective and sharing your unique view, I think it's very important to know that you are a part of a much bigger ecosystem that has been here before you and will be here long, long, long after you're gone, you know? So service the game. Just be cool. Show up. Put your hand up.
I love that.
Don't just ask for help. Ask where you can help. You know, put in the work for the game and charge it to the game. Don't be like, hey, I came to your party, so now it's a... No, charge it to the game. Beautiful. You know what I mean? I think that's very important. And then also be intentional. Like, take yourself seriously. Like, be intentional. Be that crazy person outside who's like practicing their lines and like looking like a weird drama kid. It's fine. Be that person at Cotton Fest who's like changing 6 times. It's fine.
Yeah, you fit.
Like, be that person. Like, do it. Crazy. Be that person. Like, go hard. Go crazy. Put in the work. Like, it's all going to pay off at the end.
Beautiful. I like that. I'm going to live by that.
Yeah.
That's so dope. Recently, you released a record called GoG Getter.
Yeah.
You're also in your gym bag as well. Tell us about that record.
The record is called GoG Getter, like you say, produced by Festola. First song I've put out in 5 years, which is like really, really a big deal for me. And I think for me, it's just like... It's like, where have you been? It's like, this is what I've been doing. This is where I'm at. Like, you know who I am. Shut the fuck up. Like, you know what it is. You know. You know, and I don't need you. I do it on my own, baby. I'm a go-getter, you know. What I love about Moozlie the rapper is she's like the version of Moozlie that everybody thinks I am. You know, the person who like speaks for all the other versions. Like she'll tell all the, like Moozlie the MC, Moozlie the creative director, Moozlie the auntie, everybody else, shut up. I'm taking over now. You know what I mean? So it's very in your face. It's a lot of like bravado, but it's something that's relatable to so many people who I think follow me, like yourself. You are literally a go-getter. You like are making it happening. Like, it's a Monday morning, it's a public holiday, but you're here, you're shooting, you're getting it done, you're not stopping. If the memory card is whatever, like you're making it happen. And so many people who follow me, who follow my brand, are exactly like that. You know, they're not necessarily the people who are going to be like, you know, like my people are not necessarily like that, but they're like highly influential and highly impactful as well. Not just like people who are dreaming about maybe one day being in the game. They're like
making it happen.
They're making it happen for themselves. You know, they're not relying on anybody, and they're also finding ways to connect with other people, which I think is actually the best part for me. So that's basically what the song is about.
Beautiful.
And it's for the girls.
It's been 5 years. And I'm sure in the vault, that's not the only thing. That's not the only record.
Yeah.
Is there an EP? Is there an album that's coming soon?
You know what? A full project is definitely not on my list of things to do right now. Like I said, it's the first song I've put out in 5 years. So I need to like reacclimatize to the game and see what's happening. You know, a lot has changed. Even from a sound perspective, it's very important for me to just try things out, see what people are liking, see what people are not liking. As much as music for me is a creative expression and just like about being honest and just saying how I feel, I'm an independent artist. So it needs to make business sense as well, you know?
Yeah.
We're not just putting out your diary and hoping people buy it. It's like, it actually has to be a well thought out project. And that definitely takes some time to put together. So for now, we're just putting out singles, doing a lot of features.
Piano, maybe?
I wouldn't say no to it. I'm definitely not calling like, you know, Sfiso and saying, I need a piano beat. Like, no, definitely not. But if Vocalistic calls me and he's like, Skanda
Jump
Kwiza,
on, yeah.
you know, it's definitely happening. If for some reason I find myself at Piano Hub and comes at the small, it's like,
Let's jump on,
you know, it's definitely going to happen. But I think for me, like, yo, I'm hip hop. I'm
like
hip hop.
that. As Ukelo was a Vuta, Ben City, I'm sure you had, like, when you were still that side, like that part of your life, I'm sure you had like dreams and aspirations of being in Joburg. How much has this city like played into you as a creative?
To be honest, I always just wanted to be on Yo TV. I think that's as far as my mind went. I didn't actually understand what that meant. I didn't understand that maybe I would need to live in a different city. Like, I didn't even think that these people had call times and scripts and a producer, sound guy, mic. Like, I didn't think about it like that, you know? So I never really saw myself living in the city. Like, it's just something that I really discovered as I was going along. And I discovered so many different parts of it, and they've all unlocked so many different things, like different spots in different places for different reasons. I think Bram was always going to be like
the landmark
for any era in the culture. Even like now, like young people are having an experience of Bram that we can say, our Bram was better, but like this is their one. And it's like unlocking their minds, you know? I remember we, like the market, when the market was still where, what's that place called? Like, you see where they do all the events now, where they do like,
Playground?
Yes, Playground. Like, Playground was literally, there was a market there every single Sunday. And it wasn't just like a pull-up. It's not like what you guys are doing at Farmers Market now. It was a real artsy, creative link-up, like Trevor Stillman on the streets, like type link-up, you know? It was really amazing. And then I had a Pitori era as well when I was hosting Homecoming. And that just unlocked the hosting level in me and just like unlocking my performance side and just like the fun side of being on stage for me. And then I was with The Dust for a long time, which was like with us in the North, but then also just doing a lot of work, Elokshini with Cash Time and all of them. And then I was in the North for a very long time as well, you know? So there were different eras that represented different things, and this city definitely 110% is my home. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. But I love that it's a home that always reminds you where you come from. You know,
you don't forget where you're from.
You never forget where you're from. You don't ever like completely shed to just be this person who's from Joburg. You never forget where you're from, which is what I love.
I want to find out from Nomuzi Mabena's perspective, what does culture mean to you?
Hectic. I think culture... Oh, that's a very, very good question. You know, for me, like maybe on a surface level, it's like, it's obviously, it's the music, it's the fashion, but I think it's like the way of being. It's a way of being. Like, it's how you do things and why you do things. It's not so much about the things that we're doing, but it's how we do the things that we're doing and why we do them, you know, whether that's music, whether that's fashion, whether that's photography, art, you know, it's truly about telling the story about who we are as people and just the things that connect us, whether that's hip hop, whether that's Kwaito, you know, And I think also, maybe it's because it's Youth Day today, but it's really about embracing the spirit of the youth. And that doesn't mean that culture doesn't embrace people who are slightly older, because I think they always feed into it. But it gives you a sense of hope as a person who is a youth in this country, that there is something bigger on the other side. But it's just like about the way we do things. Beautiful. That's what culture is for me.
I like that. So with culture, I've been checking out your stories recently, right? And I see you post a lot of Bible verses and all of that. How do you then connect God and culture? Because sometimes people get into culture and they lose their spiritual life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So how do you make that whole thing make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I get that. And I think we all kind of do that sometimes from time to time. I always like make this joke of being like, okay, God, you are the ruler of my universe, but when it comes to Cotton Fest, leave it up to me. These are my people. I know how to talk to them. And then God is just like, babe, I made those people. Like, what are you talking about? Those are all my people. So I think what happens is we all have this like really super creative complex. Like, we are creatives. We are creators, you know? And we're blessed to do that. But I think we need to realize that we are just vessels. We are just partnering with God on something that He is trying to do.
For something bigger than you. Yeah.
For something way bigger than you know? And just being really sure that you have been put in this moment in history for a specific reason. I think sometimes you kind of get stuck in like, oh, I've missed my time, or no, but like you're here for a specific reason. And just knowing that God is truly in control of it all. God loves hip hop. God loves fashion. He thinks your photos are fire, you know? I once saw something that said, you need to think about God as like a proud father. Every single thing that you have achieved is literally on His fridge. Like it's like cut out newspaper clippings. He's so proud of you. Like everything that you do is so amazing and so cool. And I think a lot of people just, they want to put up this wall. And I don't know why the Bible literally says, seek ye first the kingdom of God above all things, and then everything else will be added unto you, you know?
And also coming as yourself, you know? I feel like a lot of people have this perspective of when you're a person who's like, maybe let's say you're new to Christianity and following God, sometimes a person wears sort of like a mask.
Yeah.
You're no longer like a bubbly person. You don't like certain things, you know, whereas in the Bible does say, come as you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, there's this thing I heard from Eddie Griffin. He was like, if I have a sense of humor, then God must also have a sense of humor. You know what I mean? Because you are created
in His image.
In His image.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you are totally made in His image. And I think also, even just trying to start the journey, a lot of the times you feel like you maybe have to fix yourself. Like, one day when I am sorted out, like you don't take a bath before you get into the shower. So like you literally just come as you are. Like God will sort it out. He'll fix you. Like, don't worry about it. And also it just gives you a sense of peace. I think a lot of people are very worried about their lives. And that causes them a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. But when you read the Bible and you realize that you are not in control of your life, it helps you to loosen the grips a little bit so you can just enjoy and live your life a bit more freely. If you find yourself in a space where you just like, you're just trying to hold on. And this is not to say you're not going to go through problems. Like, the bank account going to be on empty. You're going to fight with your friends. Your parents are going to be a bit weird. You're not going to get the job that you wanted. You know, you are going to go through things.
It's part of life.
It's a part of life. It's not just happening to you. You know, everybody's going through it. But when you are in God and in the Bible, it definitely, it's like a manual for life. Like when your iPhone is broken, you definitely can go to China Mall and get it fixed.
Yeah.
But like, how long is that going to really last you? At some point, you're going to have to upgrade to the new, you know what I mean? So it's really just about going back to your maker.
Beautiful. The last question on the show is, what advice would you give to someone who's pursuing what you're doing?
I would say definitely consult God. See what God has to say about it. Because you are short-sighted. You don't know it right now. You've got big dreams, but you're very short-sighted.
You don't see.
You don't see the bigger picture. So I definitely would advise anybody to consult God and then trust what God has to say above what other people have to say, even yourself. Because sometimes on your journey, you'll be like, how? But God, I wanted to just make music and be a presenter. Now you're making me go sell earrings. We were just figuring that out. But like, if he says move, you need to move, you know? So definitely like, make it about living your life and making your life about giving God the glory, and you'll see how he's able to like shine. It's not just about getting things to you, it's also about getting things through you. You know, there's such bigger things that need to happen with your life. And don't be so hard on yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us are really, really hard on ourselves.
People.
Especially creative people.
Damn.
Like you are stressing about things that are completely out of your control.
Yeah.
Like you can spin on your head, but you're going to have a bald head like me by the time you're done. Like, honestly, don't be so hard on yourself. Trust that God has got it and you'll be good. And just be good to other people.
Yeah.
Definitely, it's about looking after yourself and looking after your mental health and, you know, making sure that you do you. But we're part of the game. We're part of an ecosystem. Like, you can't even play tennis by yourself, babe. You can play against the wall, but it's better when you're playing against somebody. Yes, it's a one-man sport, but you still need to play against somebody else, you know? So just know that you're part of a system of other people who may not always tell you this, but they love you. They think you're dope. Your shit is fire. Just keep working. Keep trusting God, and what's meant to be will always be.
Beautiful. I like that. Moozlie, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
This conversation has been so dope. It has been so great to watch your journey, you know, to watch a person from the inception of whatever dream they had to see them on the other end and they've accomplished the dreams they had. You know, it's beautiful. And especially for someone who's from where I'm from.
Where we're from.
The East Rand.
Yeah.
You know, where we're from. Yeah. The East Rand, Evuta, and all of that. So it's beautiful. And I do believe there's still a lot that you're going to do.
100%.
There's a lot of people you're still going to inspire.
Amen.
You know, and I just want to say, even going forward, Godspeed on the journey. Keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a lot for the culture.
Thank you.
You're too much for the culture. And thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, and God bless you.
And there you have it, guys. Nomuzi Mabena. You heard the journey. You heard it here on Culture's Biggest. Stay tapped in for the next episode. And thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. We out. Peace.